right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the recap. Michael D'Angelo, Mr. Big D, Daryl Ortiz, back again for another exciting week of WWE action. Raw and SmackDown coming off of the PLE, Clash of the Castle, which I was not here, so thanks for covering, Big D.
Of course.
I missed the show, but I didn't miss that show. So it was interesting. My predictions, of course, are always off. I was pulling for Drew McIntyre, and I knew in my heart of hearts he wasn't going to win, but I sure could hope. It was interesting. We had some fallout from CM Punk's interference, and that kind of sets the table for. We had a very lively and eventful Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown this week.
To say the very least.
Yeah, lots going on, but Big D, let's start the conversation there with what happened on Monday Night Raw.
All right, well, starting off the show here, we had a surprise return from Seth frickin' Rollins showing up to surprise the crowd, which received a huge pop and ovation. Well deserved, of course. Yeah. I feel Seth was missing. Very much so. His absence was felt on Raw, most definitely. I'm not saying Raw doesn't have the star power, but at the same time, I mean, it's Seth Rollins. I mean, come on. Yeah, he came out, talked about, how he wants to get his title back, and what better way than to, put his hat in for Money in the Bank. He's interrupted by Damian Priest, who's like, you know what? I wanted to beat you anyway. How about I just give you a title match at Money in the Bank? Which, of course, yes. And so they went ahead and booked it. So we're going to have Seth Rollins versus Damian Priest for the world title at Money in the Bank. However, I don't feel Seth is winning. I feel they need to solidify Damian Priest as the champion. And to do so, he has to beat Seth Rollins. Because right now, most can make the argument that he only won it on a cash-in through a distraction. And that's kind of his spiel, too, is that he wants to show that he can actually earn the title on his own and beat the man who actually held the title. So Seth looks to be 100%. So that should be one hell of a match. I am looking forward to it. And I just don't see Damian Priest dropping it yet.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's too early, and especially since Money in the Bank is coming up in a couple of weeks too. Which
literally,
we've already said that like PLEs are fast and furious. They turn around really, really quickly. It would be too early to take the title off of him. I wonder how they're gonna play it because Damian Priest is kind of in a weird spot right now, where he's a leader of a heel group, but he's not really a heel right now. He's kind of in between. They're trying to really sell him as more of a face to the crowd. I think they're waiting to pull the trigger on that. They're obviously doing this whole Liv Morgan storyline that continues. So I wonder how they're going to get to this resolution. And I presume, is there going to be Judgment Day interference? Is there not going to be Judgment Day interference? And this is going to be how he solidifies himself and goes out and wins, has a falling out with them. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But yeah, I agree. It feels like at the end of the day, he should retain. But we'll see how it plays out in the next couple of weeks.
We shall see. I mean, I'm excited to see how it does turn out. I'm curious to see how they'll do a quick little build like this. The good thing is that this is a feud that you don't really need much build. The story kind of wrote itself in a sense that Seth never got pinned for his title. Well, Damian Priest never beat Seth for the title, and that's what he wanted to do. So that's kind of the angle they're going with. It's kind of more of him trying to prove himself. So I feel that's going to fit, and that'll be fine. After that, speaking of titles, we had Chad Gable demanding another rematch for the Intercontinental title, kind of losing his mind here, trying to skip the line, and of course was denied. So he was denied. Naturally. And was told, you know what, let's get you a match though. He's like, I'll put you in action, show me that you can work your way up. And he's like, yeah, definitely. So he goes out to the ring, and they pretty much fed him to Braun Strowman. So this was pretty much a squash match, but in a sense that I actually enjoyed this, only because they've been building Chad Gable up as this bully type heel for so long, and now they have Braun Strowman to just completely annihilate him in the ring and make him look terrible. He was getting, they were ringside, and they kept trying to, he kept trying to get them to interfere and all that good stuff, like always. But again, Chad Gable barely got any offense in before Braun Strowman hit his, was it a tilt-a-whirl power slam that he hit? That was a cool-looking power slam that he did for the victory, and takes the win. After that, of course, Chad Gable throws a tantrum and gets mad at Tozawa and gets mad at everybody. and I think he actually was. It looked like he was gonna strike. It looks like he was gonna strike. Oh my goodness, Maxine. And I was like, oh no, they're not gonna do that to Chad. They better not. I mean, I'm not all for that. I don't like those type of storylines, right? But I'm like, oh god. But you know, of course, they didn't, and he ended up striking Tozawa, and that was kind of the last straw with Otis. And Otis, to a very disappointing turn, in my opinion. Very disappointing turn.
Yeah.
And he just kind of shoved him across the ring. Of course, Otis is strong, so Chad sold the hell out of it and flew across the ring. But that was it. He just like jumped out of the ring, gave him a mad look, and just walked away. And I was like,
he like
all this
flexed
build
in
up.
front of him.
Yeah, he flexed, but I'm like, okay, all this build up, and you didn't do anything. All you did was just shove him, flex on him, and walk away. Like I was expecting so much more. I was upset.
Yeah.
Until the end, but we'll go over that
until the end.
Yeah. So I don't know what you think about the squash and then turn.
It was the same way. I was like this. So the squash I got because I'm like, yeah, they fed him to Braun Strowman. He obviously wasn't going to beat Braun Strowman. Mm-hmm. This felt like it was too little, too late with the whole Otis turn. Like as soon as it happened, I was like, well, if this is all it was very anticlimactic. Yeah. And I'm like, if this was all you were going to do, you should have just done it at Clash of the Castle.
Right.
Like have him do a real turn there. And have him like beat up Gable or however you wanted to do it. The fact that they waited until like the Monday afterwards and then kind of Otis shoved him and kind of half-heartedly walked off, and then later on in the locker room was just packing his bag and was like, "We're done," and then left
like a mad girlfriend. I'm leaving.
Yeah, it's like I've had it.
I'm taking the kids and I'm leaving.
I'm taking the kids and I'm going.
Let's go, kids.
It felt so weak. Well, and then Chad's like, "Yeah, you can't leave. I'm throwing you out. You get out." Like it really was like, this is very telenovela. And it was just, it wasn't happening for me. Granted, they kind of paid it off a little at the end, obviously, of the show, in an unrelated way. But I think it fell flat for me. Like they spent too much time building this to have it just go like at the very end. But
I agree, and the thing is, you know that now he's going to scramble for a faction, and that's going to be the next storyline part of it. But he's going to unveil the Creed brothers. That's my guess. He's going to be the Creed brothers as the newest enlistees or enrolled students or whatever he wants to call them of the Alpha Academy. I think that's going to be Alpha Academy 2.0, and I honestly feel that would be a good heel faction. To have the Creed brothers with him, because they are all legit wrestlers and collegiate athlete wrestlers. So I think that would be kind of good. Yeah. So I'm curious to see if they do that. That would be my guess where they go next with Chad. But we shall see. After that, we had Io Sky against Kiana James and Zelina Vega to qualify for the Money in the Bank ladder match. I mean, let's be honest. We knew Io Sky was going to win. We knew because I mean, think about it. Kiana James is new. Yes, it would be nice to see her, some fresh talent get up there. Zelina Vega has not won a match in God knows how long. So I'm worried about that part. But yeah, I mean, Io Sky comes out, and of course, during the match, Vega actually did hit a very nice 619 before Liv came out, because the whole theme of the night was, where's Dom's vest, right in the beginning there. Sorry, I'm going to backtrack.
The missing purple cow vest.
Because they're talking, he's all like, my purple cow vest is missing. Well, fast forward to now, she's walking out wearing the cow vest, and I was like, she's going to lure him with that. So, but yeah, she came out in the cow vest with her title just to kind of taunt out, and it kind of distracted Zelina Vega, which took her out and allowed Io Sky to kind of hit her over the moonsault and get the win for the qualifying match. So again, I will forewarn everybody, interference is the word of the day on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. Well, on both shows, this is something that I noted after SmackDown. I was like, man, there was very few clean matches. Like most matches had an interference or a distraction or a shenanigan or something happening where I was like, can we just get a clean win at some point? And they were few and far between. Probably the cleanest win on Raw was the Braun Strowman Chad Gable squash match.
The squash match
was probably the cleanest one. The squash match was the cleanest one that we had because you had this distraction finish, which I guess this goes back to Liv Morgan kind of pseudo feuding with the LWO on behalf of Dominic, because I was like, why does she really care about Zelina Vega?
Yeah.
And this is the continuation of that. But yeah, the match itself was fine. I expected Io Sky. She'll be great Money in the Bank. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
do
She
want
was
her
great
as
in the
part
other
of that
one,
ladder
too.
match.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and because she's the defending champion, right, for Money in the
Yeah.
Bank, she's like defending her title, or if you can call it
Yeah.
that.
She's trying to get it back to
So
back.
good match. But yeah, distraction finish, one of many that we're gonna see.
Yeah. But actually, one thing I liked after this was it Braun Breaker kind of calling out Sami Zayn there for a second, wanting a title
Yeah.
match. And then, of course, to be interrupted by Sheamus coming out to his old music, which is always good to hear. I love hearing the old theme song.
Yeah.
He comes out and pretty much telling Braun Breaker, "Hey, back down, kid," which of course ticked him off. Sami Zayn instigating that they should have a number one contenders match for the title, which I am 1,000% for, because Sheamus versus Braun Breaker, that's going to be an awesome match. So they set it up for later that night for the number one contendership to the Intercontinental title.
Yeah, and note here, because I missed last week, Ricochet had his last match on WWE the Monday night before, because his contract ended and he did not renew, which shame on you, WWE, for letting Ricochet move on. And of course they squashed him with Braun Breaker in the back as part of this, because they were going to sacrifice him to Braun Breaker, which that's a real bummer, because I didn't get a chance to say that last week. Ricochet, supremely talented.
He is.
What a waste. I know he'll go over to AEW. He'll go somewhere else and he'll be wildly successful.
Maybe even New
he's
Japan.
Just great, but
TNA.
yeah,
We'll see.
yeah. I mean, he's got options. He's incredibly talented, and it's a huge loss for WWE. They never really could figure out what to do with him. And I remember when he came into NXT they really kind of let him shine over there. And obviously, I remember from Lucha Underground when he was Prince Puma, which he was awesome there. So. It's a bummer that it didn't work out, and then you have other folks like Logan Paul wrestling for WWE, but you don't have Ricochet. So I'll get off my soapbox.
They gotta put that money somewhere, I guess. But after that, I should have actually written down when these backstage segments, because one I wanted to call out. There's two, but not yet for one of them. One of them I wanted to call out was Karrion Kross calling out Xavier Woods, kind of playing the underhanded tactic of like, hey man, it's Kofi doesn't see you as an equal. He sees that he's the show, the star. He's like, so he said, I'm going to challenge you, Xavier Woods, but I know it's going to be Kofi Kingston anyways, or whatever. And he kind of played it off like that. Cuts over. Xavier Woods starts cutting his promo, but if you notice in the bottom bar, it says Kofi with Xavier Woods, kind of buying into what Karrion Kross was saying. And right before Xavier Woods can accept the challenge, Kofi's like, you know what, since you want to put my name out there, I accept your challenge. And you could see the disheartening look on Xavier Woods behind Kofi, maybe kind of realizing this. And I love the New Day. I don't want to see the New Day broken up, but this is kind of planting the seeds of possibly pulling Xavier Woods over to the Final Testament. And it was interesting to see that and to see how that pans out, because now you're going to have Kofi against Karrion Kross next week. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. See how it plays out. I wonder if they won't just abandon it after like 1 week, though. WWE does that sometimes, where they'll tease something and then it's like the next week it's like it never happened.
Well, they're checking social media to see the pop on it, to see how it reacts and whatever. But anywho, back to the wrestling here. We had Carlito taking on Dragon Lee. Of course, it was a pretty fun match, actually. Dragon Lee and Carlito put on a really good match. I enjoyed the match. It was a good grudge match because, of course, y'all that forgot, Carlito's the one that took out Dragon Lee and then pretended like he found him, and that's what started his split with the LWO and him trying to go with Judgment Day. So this was kind of the blow-off match. Magic word of the day, interference. We had Liv Morgan come out. Zelina Vega came out to fight her off. The rest of the LWO came out. JD McDonough was there. And then, of course, he's the one that caused the distraction. And I know Dominic was there, but he didn't really do much. But JD McDonough is the one that, did a hit Lee, Dragon Lee with, he hit him. And then Carlito was able to land the backstabber off of the turnbuckle, which was cool to see. because Dragon Lee was going up top to finish off, and then JD McDonough kind of knocked him off the rope, and then from there Carlito hit the backstabber for the victory. Again, heel tactics at its best. I feel this one is nice. It's good. It's clean. It's not clean, but it's what you expect from a heel faction. But again, this is just one of many distractions that interference we saw in the show, and that was kind of I didn't care for that too much, especially with a good match, such a good match they're having.
Yeah, it was a good match, and it did feel a little, it was another continuation of what this match needs. A little more cow vest, and there's Liv Morgan in the cow vest walking around again, and I'm like, oh, we're doing this again. And like you said, this was the constant theme of the week, was interference or shenanigans, distraction finishes. Can we just get some clean wrestling? Because the match itself I thought was really good. This is probably pretty close for my match of the night, if I were to rank them. But yeah, I don't like all the dusty finishes.
Yeah. Speaking of dusty finishes, we had and I don't mean it in the literal way. We had Dominic running into Liv Morgan in the hallway, and he was like, "You need to give my vest back," and she's like, "Go ahead and take it off of me, then." And he hesitated, and he risked it all to try and get his vest back, and only to be interrupted by Damian Priest, who was kind of like a dad. He's like, "Get over here! What are you doing?" And then Dom's like, "Okay."
Yeah,
and that was the funniest thing ever.
Liv, can you leave the poor boy alone? It really was like a weird dad moment where I was like,
"It was
what are you, you're not a heel. Like he's just like, come on, Liv, seriously."
Like, kids,
like everything about it is just like he's like shaking my head. Kids today,
do the finger,
take off. Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was hilarious, but worth noting because, of course, furthering the infiltration she's trying to make in Judgment Day, so that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out later on. After that, we had Drew McIntyre coming out to address everyone after the shady finish he received courtesy of CM Punk, which I told y'all. Yeah. I said, you know what would give him so much heat is if CM Punk showed up in Scotland and interfered. There it is.
And of course he did.
But this actually was very well played by Drew McIntyre. He sat there just furious and just at a loss for words, couldn't get any words out. The crowd was behind him 100%, and he just straight up said, "You know what? Screw this company. I quit." And he quit. And he walked out, and Adam Pearce Triple H was trying to talk to him. Adam Pearce the camera's following him, and he's not listening to anybody. Of course, we know it's kayfabe because anyone that knows, Drew McIntyre's already recently renewed his contract with WWE, so this is just kind of a way to extend out the feud between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, because I don't believe CM Punk's medically cleared yet. I think he's not going to be cleared till around SummerSlam time. So they're going to try and draw this out in about another month and a half to try and get him to come out at their eventual match at SummerSlam, which, based the way that they're building it up psychologically, should be a great match. Just because there's going to be a lot of emotion involved in it. And I think that's going to be the bigger piece of it. And I'm really going to enjoy that match when the time comes. So I don't know how you felt about the segment.
It was, I liked it because it was short and sweet. You had him quit. You get why he would be frustrated and just quit and not even go on a tirade about it. And they made it as authentic feeling as they could with the whole backstage with everyone intervening. Even Triple H tried to intervene. At one point, so he's just like, "I'm being serious," and just walks off into the camera following him out. You kind of heard rumors that I think he would need to take some time off anyway because his wife had a medical procedure or something that happened.
She couldn't make it to Scotland.
And so that's where you were like, okay, that makes sense for him to be written off. It was done in a smart way, and the way they did it too. I wasn't expecting him to be on SmackDown, and so we'll talk about that later. And that's where it actually kind of caught me by surprise, where I was like, "Oh man, that was really well done," because I didn't expect to see him for a few weeks. So I liked it. I enjoyed it.
I did too. I thought it was a great way to just kind of add on to that storyline. So that was bravo on that. After that, we had the Party Crew of Caden Carter, Katana Chance versus Damage Control of Kairi Sane and Dakota Kai. Again, they were, Kairi Sane and Dakota Kai were on a roll. They were tearing it up, taking over, all offense until Lyra Valkyria came out and kind of distracted them. Again, there's that interference, the distraction of the night, and led the party goers of Caden Carter and Katana Chance to victory. They hit the after party, which is still a pretty cool finisher. I like the finisher. I think it is. I think it's done very well. They've practiced it a lot, and you could tell, and it's very clean, and it's done very well. It's a well timed finisher, and I like it a lot. So, yeah, they did the after party to win, and that was that. That was interesting. It wasn't anything spectacular, anything crazy. It was just a basic match. Nothing too write home about really, but still pretty good match.
Yeah. It's a nice little palate cleanser. Nice to see Carter and Chance get a win again.
Yeah, they like the faces interfering. That's the piece.
Yeah, that's where I'm like, faces using heel tactics, which we've talked about. They do that quite a bit. The continuation of we can't just seem to get a clean finish or not have some shenanigans. But Carter and Chance back in the win column, so good for them.
Yep, definitely. After that, we had what we were waiting for here, the Sheamus versus Braun Breaker match, which was one I was looking forward to, and it was a great match. I mean, it was very physical, just what you would expect out of Braun Breaker and Sheamus. Lots of big moves, lots of power moves, and Sheamus actually took down Braun Breaker with the white noise and then hit a rolling senton. But again, Breaker was able to get up and just fight right back from that. Again, showing that strength and showing that tenacity that he has. And then Braun Breaker just throwing Sheamus outside before just, hitting him with a huge leap from the ringside. And then they, both went onto the announce table. And they were just trading blows back to back, going back and forth. A lot of big hits. And then there was, I had it written down here. Yeah, I think Sheamus was hitting the 10 beats of the battering, and he was going to do the brogue kick until we got more interference from Ludwig Kaiser, who came out and attacked Sheamus, which of course gave him the win. And Braun Breaker speared Sheamus. But the more impressive thing out of this was he kind of left, and Ludwig Kaiser was going to just kind of take out Sheamus the way he took out his former teammate. He was gonna take him out. He had him lined up on the steps, and he came around halfway across the ring and started running. And as he turned that last ring post, Braun Breaker comes in out of nowhere and just spears him out of his boots. Hits him with the insane spear. And I think they got a video of him going around the other way, and he just the speed of Braun Breaker just surprises me, and the way he just hit him with that spear. Yeah. It was brutal. And then he walked away. So he kind of saved Sheamus. I don't know if that's maybe like a little respect. Like, hey, I'm not done with you, so don't get hurt because I want more. And then Kaiser, he's just like, hey, Ludwig Kaiser was just like, hey, you interfered in my match, so I'm going to take you out. So, of course, they're adding more people to this. This is going to be, I think it's going to turn into a triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship. Yeah. I would not be surprised if it becomes a fatal four-way for the Intercontinental Championship. So, we'll see.
Yeah, it feels like which I wish they'd stop doing the triple threats for the title.
Yeah, they're getting kind of old.
It's turning into the default thing. It's happening. They're overusing it at this point. Mm-hmm. But the match itself, I thought it was really good, except for that I didn't like the interference finish again, and I think it was also because we had seen so many leading up to this.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh, not again. Yeah. So there was that little moment of exasperation. But I thought the match was really great. I was looking forward to this match the most, probably with the finish. Kind of put me out of it a little bit with having Kaiser come in. But I get why they did it, because they're also trying to protect Braun Breaker. They didn't want him to lose. So Sheamus won, but did he really? But all in all, match was good. It was one that I was looking forward to. I enjoyed it. I just wish we hadn't had so many interference finishes.
I agree. And then after that was my match of the night, was the triple threat match of Jey Uso, Finn Balor, and Rey Mysterio for their Money in the Bank qualifier, which, again, you talked about those three individuals. You know it's going to be a match of the night. We all knew after the heartfelt promo that Jey Uso did a few weeks ago, he was going to win this. Spoiler, he does. Yeah. But, of course, not without some interference. Good old interference. That was the sponsor for tonight's show, was interference. When you think you've had enough, there's more coming at you.
There's more judgment and more Judgment Day. Judgment Day was involved in a lot of these as well. So
yeah, I agree. And I mean, yeah, again, you had some great spots there between all three of them. Of course, all of them were going to put on a hell of a match. You had, of course, Dominic actually get back into it with his dad. That was good to see. He kind of started beating him up again. Of course, it's not disqualified because it's a triple threat, so there's no disqualifications. Braun Strowman came out to kind of even out the odds, took Judgment Day out of the arena. Then after that, you had Finn Balor hit the coup de grace on Rey Mysterio, but then Jey Uso flew out of nowhere, hit the Uso splash on Finn Balor, and took the championship towards the end. But when it happened, I looked and I said, wait, there is still like a good 7 minutes left in the show.
Yeah.
5 or 7 minutes.
A lot of time left.
And I was like, something's going to happen. So before I get into that, what were your thoughts on the match?
Match was great. I mean, this one probably really was match of the night. I mean, it had interference, but it had the least amount of interference, I think, with the finish, which was good. Obviously, Jey Uso definitely deserved to win. All three are great. I mean, Rey Mysterio is still fantastic even at this point in his career. Finn Balor's awesome. I always say he's underused and underutilized. So this one was really, really good. I think Jay's the right one to advance, and he'll be great in the Money in the Bank ladder match. But yeah, this led into the moment of the night for me, and what really I was good with. I let everything else go.
Yeah, I did. This is what put me. This is what put me at. This was an A+ show for this reason. As Jey Uso was, celebrating his victory and just, doing his thing. Before you know it, the lights cut out, and that very familiar sound that is Bray Wyatt sound, and the door appears. And the light, like, I'm seriously getting goosebumps right now because I'm remembering it. Yeah, I was emotional for this.
I rewatched it like 10 times.
I've seen it a million times, and I love it, as you can tell. I was just, I loved it every bit. The Wyatt Six made their appearance. The lights cut out. The door appears. You just hear the single piano key, the ding, ding, from Bray's most recent song, which I think is going to be their theme song, which great. I'm hoping it is, because it's a great song. And
Shatter's a really good song, and it obviously they didn't get the opportunity to really roll it out.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to them using that song. I think that's going to be amazing. You have Sister Abigail come out, and as predicted, that is Nikki Cross. Doing that, and she just did it so well. The creepy crawl, the creepy
doing
smile
her best,
with
the girl from the Ring impersonation.
Yes. She just pulled it off in front of the She stops in front of the lantern. She sits up and she just like points. So then the camera follows, and again, it's dark. The fireflies are out. It's dark. You still hear the piano key. It's dark. It's going, and then before you know it, you see a very familiar, large, statuesque man there. It's the returning Eric Rowan. If you look at the back of his hood, when he had his back to the camera, it was very brief. You see the old red buzzard with the Lantern logo on that hood, and then he turns around. He is Rambling Rabbit, and he has the sledgehammer from paying homage to the Bludgeon Brothers, what he was with Luke Harper. That was his kind of nod to Luke Harper, because Luke Harper was one of the original members of the Wyatt family. And you had him there as Rambling Rabbit with like 3 people destroyed underneath him, just piled on each other. And then it cuts in to Gorilla.
And it also had, sorry to interrupt, it also had the help on the sledgehammer, remember that was what Rabbit had held that up, the help sign when
because he was trying to get out because he was getting beat up and killed every segment.
And then he got smashed by the giant hammer by Bray Wyatt, smashed Rambling Rabbit as well. So there was a lot. They really
many Easter eggs.
Spent a lot of time putting the symbolism in there. It was really good.
I agree. I agree. And then it cuts in to Gorilla, and apparently everyone's dead in Gorilla. I think people are still trying to piece
And I
together
was
who
like,
you
I think
see.
they killed like.
Yeah, I think
So I was
everyone
like,
got
people are
murdered.
definitely murdered. So
I feel like in that one scene in Anchorman, like you might want to lay low for a while. You killed the guy.
that's why I was like, yeah, it's like, you stabbed him with a trident. Yeah, you might have no problem. Because I was like looking around, going, "There's like huge blood splatter or something." There's like
Blood
a guy
spots on the
leaning against the wall with a
wall.
massive, massive blood splatter.
Yep.
I'm like, that guy's dead. So
Yeah.
clearly there are people that were killed
And
by
so
the gorilla
I don't know
position.
if it was Triple H, but some people that they said they saw Braun Strowman. I really couldn't make that out.
Yeah, I couldn't
you
make
also,
that out.
You also saw
Chad Gable,
was the
and
most
Carmelo
easy one.
Hayes, I think, are the only two.
But
Yeah.
Carmelo Hayes denied it.
Carmelo Hayes,
He denied it.
Right? I thought I saw, but it was hard to tell.
It's hard.
Like,
It was
is
dark.
that
It was.
Carmelo
I mean,
Hayes?
I need to go back and keep watching it some more. But
Yeah.
you saw what they said was Braun Strowman, and then you saw you saw the Buzzard. Help me
Yeah.
out here.
Oh,
Mercy the Buzzard. Mercy the Buzzard.
Yeah, Mercy the
was
Buzzard.
sitting there, and that was Dexter Loomis sitting, crisscross there. The mask for Mercy the Buzzard is so awesome with the dreads,
Yeah.
and just the creepy mask, and he's just sitting there, and he's just kind of like with his hands, crossed over, and just sitting there, just looking over his carnage, and then you look over, and you got Gacy over there with oh my goodness, and I forget his first name all the time. It drives me up the wall. But you got Gacy there, and he is Huskus the Pig Boy, and his mask is actually really cool. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I was like,
Yeah,
I
he
think
was Huskus the Pig
what it
Boy.
was like.
Yeah, he was Huskus. His mask looks dope. It's a pig head it's almost like a gas mask and a pig head combined. It's really really
Yeah,
cool.
it looked more like a gas mask when I saw it because I was like, who's he supposed to be? And I was like, oh, it's supposed to be Huskus. Okay, it took me a minute to realize it.
Yeah, it did. It took me a little bit. It was I was like, wait, that is. I was like, yeah, that is Huskus. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool. That's them. And then so then it keeps going, and Joe Gacy, that's his name. I knew it was going to hit me eventually. Joe Gacy was their call up from NXT, which was awesome to see. Yeah. And then as it goes, you see Chad Gable with it looked like a bullet hole in his head, but it wasn't. He was just busted open.
Yeah, I was like, Chad Gable was
like,
killed.
Damn.
So that's the end of the Alpha Academy segment. I was like,
he got what he deserves. No, I'm just kidding.
And then he got murdered. Yeah.
And then so once it goes there, it like he's on like an equipment box. He just leaned up against it. Then it pans over, and there you see Uncle Howdy in that historic pose, just that iconic now pose, and he just kind of strolls his way in, brings everyone out to the ring, to the front, they all meet up at the lantern, where again Sister Abigail, Abby the Witch is waiting. They go, and he picks up the lantern. They all pose. And mind you, the crowd is going ballistic at this point. Like it is insane. And, takes his brother's line. He looks around. I think it took him a moment to kind of compose himself. And he just, again, we're here, blew out the thing, and they went off the air. Awesome.
Went off the air. Yeah.
Awesome debut. Everything I could have ever wanted and more. I feel they will do it right. I have confidence under Triple H that he would let this happen the right way. I don't know where they go from here. I think Chad Gable is going to be their first victim, obviously. One notable person missing was Alexa Bliss. She was not there.
Yeah.
But there's only 5 of them, and they're called the Wyatt Six. So 2 things happened after that. One, Alexa Bliss is still supposed to be coming back, and everyone's saying she's still slated to be a part of the group, a part of the faction. In what capacity, we don't know. We'll have to wait and find out how that happens. But they also, WWE released some merch right after and renamed them a couple times. So at first it was the Wyatt Six, but it was SICK and the number 6.
CKS.
No, yeah. And then now it's SICKS, like sick, like they're sick.
Like
so that's the current name is Wyatt Six, but I'm stoked. I am beyond stoked. Now, a couple things the nerd in me has to point out. They waited. Again, this match right here. This was Bray Wyatt's last match that he ever wrestled before he passed away. Was at the Royal Rumble in San Antonio, Texas. They debuted the Wyatt Six in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Yeah.
So they waited till they came back to Texas to debut, which was awesome. Of course,
Yeah.
being here in Texas, I'm ecstatic for that. But they just,
Yep.
they so many Easter eggs. The red ring that's on everyone's gear in some form or fashion, whether it's the hammer that has the ring on it, Uncle Howdy's hat has the ring on it, Huskus has the ring around his snout. They all have the ring. And then another thing to notice is the red unison between Mercy the Buzzard and Uncle Howdy. They both each have a single red dread in their mask, which is interesting as well. And it was just cool to see. They're using the original lantern that Bray used. They didn't use the Fiend one, which is fine, which is good. And again, it's just there's so much to see in that of everyone they took out. They took out Braun Strowman supposedly. So if that is the case, then Braun Strowman should be joining him back up again. This faction will probably continue to grow, which is probably why they named it SICKS to allow for more members
Yeah.
than
It's
six.
not hold it to a specific number. Yeah.
So that's just my thoughts. I'm beyond ecstatic for it. I'm happy. I was over the moon when I saw this debut, and I was just proud. I don't know. How did you feel about the whole debut?
Yeah. So I thought that the presentation was fantastic. And I thought that it was done about as well as they could have possibly done it. And I think it was a tremendously difficult undertaking to try to come back out and debut this group, obviously with Bray Wyatt's passing. How do you do a kind of a fitting tribute to him? How do you carry it forward? And I thought they did just a marvelous job.
Yeah,
And this is where it's borrowing all the different elements, and it was the one note, because it never, the theme song never played out. It was just that one note from
Yeah.
the theme playing the whole
Yep.
time. And then you had the door, and then you had the lantern, and then you had the lighting effect of the shutdown, like from the Fiend. So you're borrowing all these different elements from his various gimmicks that he had. And then obviously everyone's playing one of the characters from the Firefly Funhouse. So they did such a good job with it. I worry that I'm like, how I worry if they can sustain it. That's the only thing that I'll say that
Yeah.
that is the bigger concern for me is
Yeah.
as I saw it, I'm like, this is amazing. What a tribute. And for me, the thing that came out the most was, obviously Taylor's his brother as Uncle Howdy, and you're going to say, there's a lot of love from his
Yeah.
brother coming through in this.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, I'm like, he absolutely poured his heart into this, and you can just see the love, and you can see, how much he misses his brother and how much he respects what his brother did, and he poured all of that into it, and it was very evident, and it was great, and I loved it, and I got chills, and it was awesome. It lived up to it.
Yeah.
And then there's always that reminder of Bray's not here anymore. And I think when I saw it, I was like, oh man, Bray could sustain this and do great things with it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has the momentum to carry forward. I don't know if it'll fizzle out in a few months and it won't really get legs. I don't know. I think none of us know. You don't know until
No.
it goes forward.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this. This was probably the best tribute to Bray Wyatt that they could have ever done.
Yeah.
And they did a great job with it. So no matter what happens with it, this was great. And I think
agree.
that people should just enjoy it and appreciate it.
I agree, and I think that was my complaint back when they had the Fiend win the title. I felt it was too soon. I hope that this is more of a continued slow burn. I know we want more. I know we want to see more. We want to see them in action. We want to see move sets. We want to see finishers. We want to see everything, right? I know I do, but I feel that I hope that they let this run out long. Like let this just chill. Like it happened, they debuted, and then back to the mind games and everything next week. Don't have them just come out and do a promo and go into Money in the Bank, or like, you know what I mean? Like just let it ride. You know, let it ride out, let it go out, let it be methodical the way Bray was trying to do it. I think they rushed putting the title on him. I think Vince saw that the Fiend was blowing up and right away just slapped the title on Bray. Then what happened? You had to have him lose. Then you have him lose to freaking Goldberg. You know, and it was just terrible.
Yeah, which is the worst. It was
terrible.
The worst. Like
that killed it.
The way that they handled the Fiend was awful. And it was, how do you have something that you just catch lightning in the bottle and just fumble it so badly, and put Goldberg over on him and have Goldberg squash him? It's like you built this unstoppable Fiend and this incredible supernatural character, and then you jobbed him out to Goldberg. And I hope they don't put titles on him. I'm like, just
let them run rampant.
They're not about that.
Yeah.
Let them cause anarchy. It should be about carnage and destruction. Yeah, it should be about the psychological of if it's going to be, we're targeting people who betrayed their families because we're like, if you want to make some supernatural element to it where there's a specific reason why they go after, do that. Yeah. Have fun with that. You can do a lot of cool stuff with storytelling. Oh, yeah. I don't want them to be like, don't make him the WWE. Don't make Uncle Howdy the WWE champion. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Just have fun with it. Do fun and interesting things. And I think if they just get focused on that, maybe they will, because Vince isn't there, and they can just look at it as just from kind of almost a performance art aspect.
Yeah.
Just do something that's fun and interesting. Yeah. I hope so. I mean, do.
Eventually,
I think that's where I worry.
Yeah. And I feel like eventually, put titles on them. Eventually. Not right now. I think they need to go a while. I think they need to go a while and just run through the roster in terms of like psychological warfare, pulling them in, beating, stuff like that. Like let's run through that. Let's do that. Before we start talking about title pictures, tag team titles and intercom, all else, I don't care about any of that. This should be what it is meant to be, which is all psychological and just straight horror. Just let it just ride. And I really hope that that's what we do. That's what we get. I hope that's what they do, because that's exactly what they need to do with this. And I'm hoping, because the Fiend could have been a lot bigger than what it was. And I love the Fiend. Don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously, I love the Fiend. I love Bray Wyatt, and God rest his soul. And I'm sure he's smiling down right now. And I want them to just let it ride. Let it ride and just have fun with it, and just tear it up. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we see what comes from it. I hope we don't, I know it sounds weird, but I hope we don't see them on Raw next week. I hope it's everyone trying to be like, what the hell just happened? And trying to kind of mentally recoup, because it looks like they attacked the Pat McAfee show too. So maybe that's what happens. Pat McAfee disappears for a while, because they're like, where the hell is he? Then you have segments of him trying to find his way out. Yeah. Well, yeah, because
I can only hope that they still Pat McAfee away. That'd be awesome.
Next week, I think next week they are at Indianapolis. So, that would be good to see. Just have him turn up somewhere and just torment him.
They mentioned the Wyatt Six on SmackDown too. It was just a brief passing of, we've got all this extra security here, and it's not just because of the Wyatts. It's what Paul Heyman said, and he threw it out there that they had extra security, and they did. So, but you didn't see any appearance from them, because I would presume they're not signed to Raw. So it's like
they're going to go across both. Shows. Yeah, let them go across both.
Have them float around. Let them do both, but have mentions of them, but you don't have to have them pop up immediately on SmackDown, which I'm glad they didn't. It's like, just let it continue to build it. No reason to be in a rush with this.
So hopefully we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed. But speaking of SmackDown, that was it for Raw. Like I said, I give it an A plus just because.
I give it an A plus just because of the last segment. That's it. I have to just because of the last segment.
And you know why else? Because after the show, after you finished murdering your colleagues and possibly your boss on live television, what do? You
they were at Whataburger. I was like, the Wyatt Six at Whataburger, and Nikki Cross still had like the crud on her arms and all that. I was like, yeah, you got to get to Whataburger first. It doesn't matter. It's like, don't get all the makeup off. So that gets a shout out as well, because I saw that picture and I'm like, there's nothing more.
But imagine being that fan. You're just like, hey, you know what? Let's go get some Whataburger, because Whataburger's open 24/7. Oh my god, I would have died. I would
You
have
walk
been.
into Whataburger and the Wyatt Six are there. I know. I was like, I'm normally like, don't bother people while they're eating. I
No,
would have been
hell
like,
no. I
I'm
will.
sorry, I have to bother you.
Then
guys
I
while
will.
they're eating. Yeah.
I'll apologize profusely,
Yeah.
but I will still do it. That's how I got that
Yeah.
picture.
That was a great photo. I was like, exactly. I was like, that was a great photo at
Yeah.
Whataburger. And I'm like, that's so cool.
I loved it.
But yeah, love it.
But
Anyway,
let's talk
so
about
yeah,
SmackDown.
moving on to SmackDown. So yeah, SmackDown was interesting, and again, it definitely felt like a tonal shift from Monday Night Raw. It was odd because it opened with CM Punk, who is
In Chicago.
Raw, in Chicago, and you kind of looked at it and goes, okay, yeah, obviously since he's in Chicago, and people were going bananas for him because it's
course.
Chicago.
It did the
So
wrestling
of course
pop
he was
work.
there. Yeah, they went nuts. See, he came out and kind of briefly talked about pressure and the pressure he put on himself historically to be a WWE champion. Kind of ran down Drew McIntyre, and then in the middle of this, Paul Heyman interrupted while he was running down Drew McIntyre, which is a little bit surprising. And he came out and apologized, and he wasn't here for to say anything bad and this and that, and kind of asked for permission and their friends, and they talked through that a little bit. Crowd was going bananas for Paul Heyman too. We got a bunch of ECW chants. We want Roman chants. Like the crowd was red hot to start the show. And the energy was really crazy.
Yeah.
They hugged it out. And then Paul Heyman talked about when we were heading in, we heard on the radio that this is CM Punk's town, and that made Solo angry. And so basically the Bloodline was coming to get him, and he needed to get out of there. So it's kind of similar to other segments they've done with the Bloodline, where it's like it's KO and other people. The Bloodline want to get you out of here. And then he just asked him, hey, to leave as a favor to him, and then do him one more other favor. And then while he was asking that, Solo came down with Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. And then they continued to banter, and essentially CM Punk called them the cosplay version of the Bloodline. Which was great, of course. CM Punk was great in all of this, and I hate CM Punk, but he's obviously fantastic at promos. And as is Paul Heyman, who's fantastic at promos. So they both did a great job here. CM Punk declined leaving. He politely declined leaving at this point. And then he also had that throwaway line, too, where he talked about, hey, Paul, what was the other favor? And he's like, take me with you. That's what Paul Heyman said. So it almost looked
and
like
the crowd
he's
blew up.
defecting.
The crowd
and
blew
to
up
leave.
for that. Yeah.
And the crowd blew up on it. Yeah. They went nuts for it. The Bloodline jumped in, and then Cody Rhodes immediately jumped in. He must have been hiding behind the barricade with a couple of baseball bats to even the score. And then Cody went on to say, hey, Solo, let's settle this tonight one-on-one, which set up the main event was going to be Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa to, I guess, settle the score finally once and for all, which, of course, doesn't really happen. But this was a great way to start the show off. Great energy as far as opening promos. I don't think they could have done better on it. But what did you think of this segment?
I agree. I think it was good. I love the whole Solo's getting frustrated by people not taking him serious. He told CM Punk that he needed to acknowledge him as the head of the table, and CM Punk was like, "I acknowledge," and then he just kind of played with words on that. I forgot the exact verbiage, but it was kind of.
It's like I acknowledge that you guys are like a cosplay of the second rate kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, which of course pissed them off, and that's when they went into the ring. And we knew Cody was coming out. That was a good spot to see with the two baseball bats. Bringing them out ready to kind of help defend. The Paul Heyman lineup, take me with you. Paul Heyman is such a great talker and such a great best manager in the world, hands down. Nobody can tell me different. Fight me on that. Paul Heyman's the GOAT, and he sold that so well, and he did it so well. I love that segment. The crowd was extremely hot for Punk, of course, because they're in Chicago, and just overall everything about this went extremely well, and it helped. I feel like it helped elevate the Bloodline a little bit. It brought them more of that credibility of hey, we're not afraid of top stars. No, we'll fight you too. So I liked it. I have no gripes.
Yeah, it was a great start to the show, and this segued into a quick backstage segment with Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Bianca was getting ready to go out for her Money in the Bank qualifier. A little awkward conversation with, we're going to try to get our tag titles back, but you get this first, and I got my Money in the Bank qualifier next week, which is Jade saying that. And then Bianca's heading out, and then Jade kind of awkwardly yells, Good luck. Not that you need it. Like she forgot her line.
Like she missed her line. Yeah, she like missed like, oh crap. Hey.
Yeah, she totally missed the spot. She's like, oh hey, not that you need it, but good luck. And and then Bianca headed out to the ring. So first Money in the Bank qualifier for SmackDown was Bianca Belair versus Michin versus Chelsea Green. The match was fine. So here's the gripe I'm going to have about this match was the match was fine, and at some point the crowd started chanting "This is awesome," and I'm like, can we stop using the "This is awesome" chant all the time?
Yeah.
This match was okay. It was not awesome. It started out a little slow and a little sloppy. They had some good. Some kind of good chain wrestling at the end, kind of going between big moves for each of the ladies. It was okay. Mm-hmm. It was not awesome, but the crowd didn't. This is awesome. It was pretty pedestrian for me though.
I feel like they say that
Chelsea
for every
Green
match
did
now.
get the win here.
She did.
Yeah, it's getting a very overused chant at this point. Like only chant when it's really awesome. Mm-hmm. Chelsea Green's unexpectedly won after Bianca hit the KOD on Michin, and then Chelsea just kind of grabbed her and whipped her out of the ring and pinned, which I was like, okay, it was that easy for you just to grab her and like, whoops, like yoink, whipped her out of the ring, and then covered Michin and got the win, which is like a flashback almost to how they lost their tag titles because Jade did the damage and then got grabbed and suplexed out, which it's kind of showing a little bit of an odd theme that I guess Bianca and Jade are easy to bamboozle.
Yeah,
is now what it's
they're distracted easily.
They're incredible athletes.
Yeah,
they're easily distracted and easily you can just swoop in and pick the leftovers and like a vulture. So it was odd. Obviously, I think Chelsea Green's kind of an odd winner for this one to move on. You got to have some people be cannon fodder in a Money in the Bank ladder match.
Oh, she's going to take the brunt of the punishment. Yeah, she'll take the brunt of the punishment.
I mean, I think that's the intention here.
Yeah.
And then getting Bianca out of that, which almost tells me that is Jade not going to win next week either.
No, I feel Jade's going to win, and I feel Jade's going to win Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank? We'll see. We'll see how it goes because this just felt odd that they'd have Bianca out of there. But it does make sense that they don't want both of them because they don't want them to be rivals yet. So they want them competing against each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, thoughts on this one?
So I agree. It wasn't too great of a match. It was all right. This is awesome chance. I'm noticing them more and more, and they're really not. You know, I feel like every crowd's trying to put themselves over. You know, and I feel like this is just like that happening. You know, but as far as the match goes, I think it was very smart. Typical Chelsea Green move, right? Take advantage, opportunist. She's kind of like that in the heel aspect. Of course, she's going to take the beatings. She's going to get put through so many ladders and tables that the match is going to be comical, because that's what she does. She takes those spots so well, and I like Chelsea Green's character and the fact that she, everyone likes seeing her get beat up because she plays an annoying character, but at the same time, I kind of when Bianca didn't win, I was like, yeah, Jade's going to win, and Jade's going to win Money in the Bank, and that's where we're going to start sowing the seeds because Bianca's going to be jealous because she lost to Chelsea Green, and so that's what I feel is going to happen. Because also look who they put Jade Cargill up against. I mean, Jade Cargill was scheduled to go up and wrestle her match, and it was who was it? I forgot who it was. I had it here, but you look at who she's supposed to fight, and it's just like, that makes no sense as to how. She got an easy match. You already know she's going to win. That's how I feel about the whole thing, but we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see how it plays out. And then right after this, we had backstage segment with Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman, where Solo's like, "Hey, you want to leave, Paul?" And then Paul's like, "Well, leave. What do you mean?"
Mad. I didn't say such thing.
And then he goes, "What are you talking about?" And then he goes, "Before you leave, tell the Toggins to make sure Kevin Owens and Randy Orton." And then Paul goes, "Are you sure? Are you sure? You want me to tell them that?" And I was like, "Tell them what? Like, did they intentionally drop the audio? Like, what happened?"
No, it was a camera glitch.
It was a very odd moment. Yeah, it was a glitch. Well, that's when I watched it in real time because I see his lips moving, and I was like, Did they intentionally drop the audio? Like what? Like, is it supposed to be a secret? Like, it was very odd. And then later on, they go, "Oh, hey, we had some audio technical difficulties, and just so that everyone knows," he said, "make sure Randy and KO don't qualify for Money in the Bank." And I was like, "Okay, well, mystery solved." So, a little technical glitch that I couldn't tell.
Scooby-Doo in the mystery game,
but Yeah. So they were supposed to make sure that those two didn't qualify. Right after that, you had Grayson Waller, and then Austin Theory still recovering from his injuries from the previous week. But Grayson Waller and DIY were like arguing in the back, right in front of a giant garage door. And then you hear banging on the garage door, and it starts to lift up. And so it was kind of like this throwaway segment of they got interrupted by the garage door rolls up, and then you see CM Punk laying there on the ground, battered and bloody, and it's like, what? And then as it continues to go up, you see Drew McIntyre standing over him, which did legitimately catch me by surprise.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't expecting them to
That
run
soon.
down CM Punk in his hometown, even though I should have, because that's like the WWE's thing is have people get beat up in their hometowns.
Well, that's what they did to Drew. So they're gonna.
Yeah, so that they totally did it to Drew at Clash of the Castle. So I was actually genuinely surprised to see him there. And he kind of scooped up CM Punk in a fireman's carry and just carried him from the back into the arena and just dropped him onto the stage. Nick Aldis and security came out. Oh, he stole CM Punk's bracelet, by the way.
Yeah.
He stole a bracelet.
Not
off
the
of him,
watch, the bracelet.
And then, not the watch, the bracelet. And then stole it. And then security and Nick Aldis came out. And then Drew McIntyre like shoved Nick Aldis pretty hard, which is another good visual. And that set off the crowd quite a bit. CM Punk gets carried away by a stretcher and an ambulance. This one was a great moment that did catch me off guard again. And I was like, the best two segments so far on SmackDown involved a storyline from Raw, which was interesting. So I'm like, this is just a continuation of the Raw storyline. But this was another really great moment for a pretty strong show. But I'll stop there for your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed that part. I thought it was hilarious that they had the guards in front of the garage door on the inside. I'm like, had y'all been on the outside like you're supposed to be, maybe CM Punk wouldn't have gotten beaten to a pulp. I mean, you can't stop them once they're already in. You got to stop them from coming in. But anywho, I like that a lot. The visual was great, and just the way Drew McIntyre just like dumped him off, like he just shrugged him off, and just he hit that ground hard. And then he even, I don't know if you noticed, he kind of got down on one knee and did that little pose that CM Punk always does before he says it's clobbering time. Even did the little arm sway on the floor, and then they kind of mimicking him, like taunting him. And I love that Drew didn't say anything because that's what you needed. Just message delivered. Just go drop him there in front of his hometown saying, here's your hero. I just slayed him. And I'm gonna take a token or a like a trophy, and gets the bracelet, puts it on. Oh no, puts it in his pocket, sorry. He gets it, puts it in his pocket, and then just walks out.
Yeah, he gets it in his pocket,
and shoves Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis is not a small man. I will tell you that right now.
No,
he is not. He's a former wrestler himself. He is not a small man. But yeah, it was a good visual, and he just walked out like without saying a word. Next thing you know, we come back and CM Punk's being loaded into an ambulance and taken to a hospital. He's going to have to stay overnight and all that stuff. It's a good way to write off Punk for a little while because you need time.
Yeah, because
between now and SummerSlam,
medically cleared because
he's not cleared.
Because that was supposed to be the whole like he was going to be in Chicago to visit his doctors, and that's why he was coming on SmackDown to say that he was medically cleared. Yeah. And so this allows them to kind of keep him off TV until he's ready to go. So this was all really, really well done.
I agree.
And it helped immediately continue the storyline of, did Drew really quit? It's like, obviously he didn't. It's like, this is just a ruse. He didn't really quit. They came back very quickly on it. And for me, it was a bigger surprise than letting it get drawn out. And it's having him come back immediately on SmackDown and do this. So
I agree.
It was a great moment. And then right after this, we had another Money in the Bank qualifier, which was Tama Tonga versus Carmelo Hayes versus Randy Orton, triple threat. This one was a great match. I really enjoyed it. It was really strong back and forth. It did end with another kind of surprise finish. We'll call it an upset with Carmelo Hayes. Got the surprise roll up on Orton when his back was turned. So both the Money in the Bank matches so far ended with like an upset with a heel kind of stealing the win because he had Chelsea Green do the whip out of Bianca Belair to get the pin. And you had Carmelo Hayes kind of sneak up on a distracted Randy Orton and get him with a surprise roll up. So wasn't super happy with the finish. I wonder gosh, it always feels like they're trying to find stuff for Randy Orton to do because they had him in the King of the Ring tournament, and then he lost to Gunther, and then they had him get upset here in the Money in the Bank match. So it's a bummer that it doesn't feel like they're trying to really get him pushed forward into another world title match.
Well, I mean, let's be honest.
But I
don't feel. Yeah, I agree, and I'll be honest. I don't feel he needs a world title run again. I love Randy Orton.
He doesn't.
I think he's one of the best workers in the game now, and one of the best on the mic. Everything, total package. He's an amazing, phenomenal wrestler. I like Carmelo Hayes winning. Honestly, I do, because I mean, Carmelo Hayes in the ladder match is going to be bananas. So I'm really looking forward to that. I like that they try to further the storyline with Kevin Owens, with Tongaloa coming out to interfere, and then, you know, Kevin Owens coming out to kind of help and save him from that. Because as we all know, the caveat to the main event match was KO and Randy Orton are going to stay backstage, and he's asking for the Bloodline to stay backstage. That's the agreement in place, right?
Yeah.
But it also helps to show that they were able to accomplish, you know, they're 1 for 2 so far, and stopping Randy Orton and Kevin Owens from moving on. That's going to further open them up for a storyline against the Bloodline. So I'm expecting some kind of 6-man tag between Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, and Cody Rhodes against the Bloodline, but more on that a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, I it was okay. I don't like seeing Randy go down, but I mean, I think they need to find.
It
something.
is what it is.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and Carmelo Hayes will be really good in the Money in the Bank ladder match. He'll be really good in it, so I'm not disappointed with that.
Spot fest for sure.
Spot fest indeed. And then LA Knight came out next, did an in-ring promo, immediately called out Logan Paul after going for the home invasion the previous week. That's what he likes to do. He likes to go to people's houses.
That's how LA Knight rolls, man. Last week.
Yeah, that's how he does it, just breaking and entering. And then he immediately called out Logan Paul, didn't get a response, and then started talking about how he's got his Money in the Bank qualifier next week, which is Santos Escobar and Logan Paul is going to be in that Money in the Bank qualifier, apparently. So interesting. Santos Escobar came out to cut a promo on LA Knight, and they went back and forth and kind of telling each other to shut up. And then LA Knight kind of disregarded him and turned his back. And Santos attacked him from behind, but then got hit with the BFT. But then Logan Paul was there, even though they kind of hinted that he wasn't. Came in and then ambushed LA Knight and took him out. So the continuation of that, it was fine. They're building their rivalry for the U.S. Championship at some point. And then I guess we'll see all 3 of these individuals again next week in the Money in the Bank match, which that one should be a good one as well.
Yeah.
I'm wondering who's going to advance for. I would say my money's on Santos Escobar.
I hope so. For the love of God, I don't want Logan Paul in the Money in the Bank match. I cannot even imagine to see that bastard with the title, with the briefcase. Like, oh my God. As it is,
with the title and the briefcase. I hope they won't.
Yeah, and as it is, I kind of laughed because he did the worst Roman Reigns impersonation of like cocking the arm for the punch. It looks so stupid the way he did it. He didn't do it right. I don't know if he was trying something new or what, but it's like, no, don't do that. That's Roman's thing. Like, that's Roman's thing, bro. Whatever. And then how they try to play it off, like, hit him with the titanium reinforced hand. If it's titanium reinforced, why the hell has he been using brass knucks this whole time? But whatever.
Yeah, it's like you don't need to use anything. Like, he's only creating a situation where he can get DQ'd by using brass knuckles. If he's already got this, then he's fine. But so we'll get the continuation of that next week. And then after this, we had Kevin Owens, Andrade, and Grayson Waller in a Money in the Bank qualifier. And then this one started with interference because KO got ambushed by Tama Tonga and Tanaloa as he was walking out. And then Randy Orton came out to help and cleared it out. And KO's like, hey, don't let them come out here, and then hobbled out to start. So this one was a really great match. I want to say this one was my match of the night, even though it did start off with like the KO being injured. That was like a theme that carried throughout the matchup. It was still really good. And there were times where KO forgot he was injured, where all of a sudden he was moving normally, and then like hop up to the top rope to do the swanton. I'm like, really? And then it's like he immediately jumped up, climbed up to the top without a limp at all. And then I think it was Corey Graves was just like, on one leg. He hit this wonton. I was like, he's not on one leg. He's totally fine. And then he hit this wonton. But this one was really great. Andrade did manage to hit, what's it called? The message, I think that's what his finish is called. Hit the message on Waller. And he picked up the win in advance. And I'll say, because this had a clean finish, say this is my match of the night, because it was probably the cleanest finish that we saw probably all week of matches. And even though it still had interference in it. It started off with interference.
It did.
But I enjoyed this one a lot.
I did too. This was my match of the night as well. I love seeing Andrade win. I hope he is considered for one of the last two to fight for the Money in the Bank briefcase. I know it's going to be Jey Uso, but Andrade would kind of be my second choice there if that is the case. But the way he hit the message, though, because Grayson Waller kind of like springboarded into the ring to do his own finisher.
Yeah, he springboarded.
And he legit just caught him in one fluid motion. Like, that shows to the athleticism of Andrade.
It looked so
like,
good.
It was so clean. It looked like, I had to kind of go back and watch it again. I was like, wait, hold on. And he caught him flush. He caught him perfectly, dropped him, and hit the win. Like, that was beautiful. So, yeah, this was my match of the night.
It had a very RKO out of nowhere kind of feel to it.
It did.
The
way
was
that
so
he hit
it. It was very fluid. It was cool.
Yeah. And I don't think commentary talked it up as much as they
should
should have. But, I mean, that was interesting.
Yeah. They can't catch them all. But but Andrade will be excellent in that match as well. So the Money in the Bank starting to shape up. And this leads to our main event, which was Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. Right before they walk out, Paul Heyman kind of was lecturing Solo on, here's what Roman wanted when I talked to him before he got on his plane after WrestleMania, that he just wanted you to keep Cody in check and this and that. And then Solo basically said, Roman's not coming back. And he was like, what? And he's like, he's not coming back. And then just like kind of left that. So there's that little element there of, okay, I guess Roman's gone, or he's not coming back to the bloodline, and Solo's going to be in charge. So again, setting that table for when Roman does come back, having the bloodline feud, because apparently he's out of the picture according to Solo. And then match starts. This match was like 3 minutes long because
there's only like 7 minutes left when that started.
Yeah, it started, and I like that they were like, we've talked to our business partners at Fox, and they have assured us that they will allow this main event to continue as long as it needs to. It will not be cut off. And
all 3 minutes.
You guys stopped it. 3 minutes in, Tama Tonga and Tongaloa jumped in and attacked Cody because they're like, yeah, all about that. No, we got a hard stop at 9 o'clock. So they just ended. So it was pretty anticlimactic. I was like, as far as that goes, because Cody started off going to work on Solo, just being more vicious. It's kind of a continuation of the I Quit match, where he's being a little bit more brutal. He was whipping Solo into the steel steps a few times, then got him in the ring, and then Tama Tonga and Tongaloa jumped in and attacked him, and so it was a DQ. Randy Orton, KO both ran down to help out Cody, and then at one point you have Solo kind of wound up alone in the ring, kind of pleading with Orton and Kevin Owens and Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, and then he was like, psych, and then all of a sudden Jacob Fatu jumps in and attacks the three of them from behind. For some reason he was the Terminator, and he took out all three of them. Like, all three of them couldn't handle him, and super kicked everybody. And now we've got another Bloodline member, which the crowd didn't really react to. I will say, I think everybody was like, "Who's this guy?" It was. This is the big problem that I have with a lot of the Bloodline introductions, is that a lot of the casual WWE fans don't know who these people are. Yeah, because they're not watching them on NXT, and they haven't seen them on other programs. They're not watching New Japan or Ring of Honor or any of these other shows where these guys have kind of made a name for themselves. So everyone was just kind of like, who's this guy? And then they have the commentary team, for me, also makes it more cringy, because they're always like, what? I can't believe it. Do you believe it? Could this be? I can't believe it either. It's none other than, and it's kind of like, it's so scripted when they're saying it. I'm like, you guys are trying to explain to everybody that they should be shocked, and they should be surprised, and they should be ecstatic that this person's here, and they should be mortified, but nobody knows who they are. And so it's, but he came out and just ran everybody ragged. and then Cody tried to flurry on him, and he basically no-sold Cody and threw him out of the ring and put him on the announce table and then splashed him to the announce table, which made Cody look like a complete chump. That this guy came in off the street and just walked through all of his offense and then just smashed him. And the ending was all 4 members. I guess he's going to be a member next week. They'll do a ceremony for him next week. But you got all 4 members of the Bloodline standing tall over everybody, and that's how the show ended. So I feel like it was supposed to be this huge moment that really got lost on the crowd, because the crowd didn't really appreciate what was going on or didn't really know who he was. And so I think when you contrast that with how the show opened, where everybody was kind of eating out of the palm of CM Punk's hand, and just all that energy to where everyone was kind of like, who's this guy? I guess he's just he's another member of the family. We know he has to be, but we're not really excited to see him. So it was fine. I mean, it's a good continuation of the storyline, but what were your thoughts here?
So of course, we know I'm not the average casual fan, so I know exactly who these folks are.
I'm sure you were like,
and
this is awesome. Yeah,
I was ecstatic.
You knew exactly who he was.
Yeah, because I mean, again, he's related to Tongaloa or Tama Tonga, one of the two. He's related to one of them. He's actually a great athletic wrestler. Very, very talented and athletic in the ring. He, as you could see, he can fly around. Goes by the Samoan Werewolf. Yeah. Is what they call him, the Samoan Werewolf. And that's why he no-sells everybody, right? But he's just a tough guy who can fly around the ring like nobody's business. He's going to be a great addition, I feel. But I agree with you in that as much as I love it, I enjoy seeing it because I like seeing this. Again, when they referred to Tama Tonga and Tongaloa as Gorillas of Destiny, nobody knows who that is. Nobody knows that they are one of the most successful tag teams in New Japan under the Bullet Club, back when they wore face paint, black and white and red face paint, right? They don't know that, and that's okay. But I feel like at some point there has to be some kind of deep dive to fill everybody in, because until that happens, I don't think that these guys are going to get the pops that they deserve when it comes time for them to actually like win or, do an attack or do something like that, or be seen as a credible threat, because right now all they're seen as is henchmen. It's kind of reminded me, and it's kind of reminded me of like, he just pulled these guys off the street, and he's just like, I mean, you got Paul Heyman trying to be like, oh, he's picking these Samoan thugs, and that's fine. I get it. But at some point these folks need to be filled in on what it is, especially because there's a rumor going around that the brother of Tama Tonga, actually, I'm sorry, Jacob Fatu is cousins to everybody. Tonga Kid was his dad. And then you have Hikuleo, who is currently in New Japan with the Bullet Club. He is the real life brother of Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, and he is reportedly going to join WWE as well as part of the Bloodline. So, yeah, Hikuleo, y'all look him up so you're not as surprised when Corey Graves yells, "That's Hikuleo!"
And Corey goes, "Oh my gosh, can you believe it? It's none other than Hikuleo." It's like
they should just record him at this point. Who? Yeah, like it's none other than.
That'd be like if Hikuleo. I walk out. If Corey Graves goes, "What's this? It's none other than Michael D'Angelo," and I'm like, walk out, and everyone's like, "Who's this guy?"
It's just I mean,
it's almost like the same feeling of it's like we're saying it like you should know who this person is. It's like they've never appeared on your programming before. Like, why would everybody go, it's them, they're here? What? It's a little much, but it comes across so forced every single time. Where it's like, what? It's like him and Wade Barrett both going, I can't believe my eyes. Yeah. I can't believe I'm seeing this either, Corey. And it's like, okay, guys.
Yeah, and I feel like the and I feel it would help them to actually kind of know that like Tama Tonga and Tongaloa are the sons of Haku. That would be nice to note, because people would like to know that.
It would be.
It would connect it.
Well, they got to get The Rock and his bloodline diagram back.
They need the tree to
get
go
the
back
PowerPoint
up
back. Mm-hmm. It's like we got to throw the PowerPoint up, go through the family tree, just spend like the first 7 or 8 minutes of SmackDown.
You know what? I think they were listed.
Let's just catch everyone up on who's who.
I think they were listed in.
I figure they have to be. That's why I'm like, at this point, somebody's got to go back and do like a deep dive analysis video of,
I'm about
yeah,
to pull
here,
it up
remember
right
when
now.
The Rock flashed that up? Here's all their names. They're all on here.
Give it a goog.
And here's a little Easter egg for you, which means we can now accurately guess, based off of the position of their names, who's going to be the next one to debut.
Right.
It's like there's got to be something there.
I think. Hold on. I think they have it. Hang on. Let me see. I think their names
Because
did
they've
pop up.
they've got to be, right? There was like 100 names on that list.
There's a ton. View.
But
let's
yeah,
see here.
Bloodline keeps adding more members. They're going to have like 27 people on the Bloodline by the time we get to the end of this, which will be interesting.
Oh
So
yeah, look, Jacob
this does
Fatu.
feel like those.
Jacob Fatu's there. Tonga Kid is his dad.
Mhm.
Then you have. Yeah, they're all there. They are all there.
Yeah,
If you
and
go back
so-
and look at that family tree.
So that's where.
Yeah.
Well, now
There you
they've got
go.
4. So this is where where we're at. So you've got Solo, you've got Tonga Loa, and Jacob Fatu.
Yeah.
So you've got 4. For the Survivor Series team, you need 6 people, right?
Yeah. So Hikaloa is going to be the next one.
Hikalo will be the 5th. So there's going to be one more because they've got to get to 6. And that'll be one team at Survivor Series. And then you're going to have the Roman Reigns, you're going to have Jimmy and Jay, and that's going to be 3. So who's the rest of Roman Reigns' team?
I think it'll be Jimmy, Jay, Jimmy, Jay, Roman, The Rock.
The Rock. So that's the 4th. And then they have to
Rikishi.
figure out 2 more. Man, they drag Rikishi out of retirement for this.
Well, see, it would make sense if the 6th member is Haku. He may not wrestle.
Yeah.
He could. Him and Rikishi can go at each other. I don't know. That's interesting. It's a big family.
It'll be interesting.
They could just put Nia
We'll
Jackson
talk-
there.
We'll talk about that as it gets closer because
The Rock's daughter is the GM for NXT, so
yeah, it's almost a guarantee that they're gonna that Survivor Series.
oh yeah,
The,
it's gonna be a
the
Bloodline
team
Civil
match
War.
is going to be
Yeah.
Bloodline Civil War. So,
Yeah.
we can prognosticate about that. But SmackDown overall was good. I'll give SmackDown an A as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it can't compete with the finish of Monday Night Raw, but SmackDown solid show.
I agree 1,000%. I liked it. This week was a good week in wrestling for sure. Lots going on,
Yeah.
lots happening, lots of stories progressing and going on. I think that's awesome to see. So I'm happy with all of wrestling this week. We're just missing an MJF debut,
I am
but
as
he
well.
just resigned, so whatever.
He just re-signed with AEW, so not going to happen. But yeah, it was a great week. Excited to see how it continues. We'll see what happens as the Bloodline adds its 27 members, and then we'll see what happens with the continuation of the Wyatt Six. So definitely a great week. But yeah, that is the week that was in WWE. Appreciate all the support, everyone. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave us comments if you think we're crazy or if you agree with us. Either way, or if you just want to talk about wrestling, we'd
Yeah.
love to talk about it as well. And you can
Always.
catch us on YouTube, catch us on social media. We're always happy to banter back and forth on it as well. So, but appreciate the support as always. And that's what we've got for this week. So until next time, I've been Michael D'Angelo. He's been Big D Daryl Ortiz. And we'll see you next time on the recap. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you soon.